Hey, sports card fans, it's John Wade Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. Today, I'll be taking a look at the top 10 PSA vintage baseball card sales on eBay for cards from the 1980s for the month of November 2023. As opposed to previous months, this month's top 10 list features a fairly wide variety of cards, including two that have sold for record high prices. So, which cards made this month's top 10 list? Let's go find out. Coming in at number 10, we have this 1989 Topps Traded Tiffany Ken Griffey Jr. card in a Gem Mint 10. This copy sold on November 1st for $3,500. It was a best offer. Now, this card did not show up on VCP's database. They show a current average price of $2,964. So if this is a true sale based on eBay data, this one sold for quite a premium over the current average price. The record high sale for a PSA 10 was $11,995 back in February of 2021 through a PWCC listing on eBay. Now, there are over 1,400 that have been graded a PSA 9, but only 339 graded a PSA 10. At number 9, we have this 1984 Donruss Don Mattingly in a PSA 10. This copy sold on November 9th for $3,550. There were 74 bids in that auction. The current VCP average price, $3,303, so another card selling above the current VCP average price. The record high sale for a PSA 10 was $6,500 back in March of 2021 through an eBay auction. There have been over 3,300 graded a PSA 9, yet only about 10% of that number, 319, have been graded a PSA 10. At number 8, we have the 1981 Topps Rickey Henderson in a PSA 10. This one sold on November 26th for $3,900. It was an auction. There were 49 bids. The current VCP average price, $3,427. Another card selling above the current VCP average price. The record high sale was almost this card, but back in February of 2022, a PSA 10 sold for $3,950 through a PWCC auction. There are 974 graded a PSA 9. Again, about 10%, 98, have been graded PSA 10. At number 7, we have the 1980 Topps George Brett in a PSA 10. This one sold on November 26th for $4,250. There were 40 bids in this auction. Current VCP average price, $3,025. So over $1,200 above the current VCP average price. This card is in VCP's database and represents a new record high sale for the 1980 Topps George Brett in a PSA 10. The previous high was $2,600 back in November of 2021 through eBay. There are almost 1,000 graded a PSA 9, and again, about 10% of that number, 97, have been graded a PSA 10. At number 6, we have the 1987 Donruss Opening Day, the Barry Bonds error card, actually featuring Johnny Ray, in a PSA 10. This one sold on November 15th for $4,650. There were 29 bids in that auction. The current VCP average price actually is $6,600, so this one sold for about $2,000, less than the current average price. The record high sale, though, for a PSA 10 was $8,550 back in May of this year through a PWCC listing. In a PSA 9, there have been 54 copies, but in this example here of a PSA 10, there have been only 13 graded at that level. Coming in at number 5, we have this 1986 Topps Traded Tiffany Barry Bonds in a PSA 10. This one sold on November 12th for $4,870. There were 50 bids in this auction, and the current VCP average price is $5,122, so sold a little bit less than the current VCP average price. The record high sale for a PSA 10 was $16,000, reached twice in February of 2021, both through eBay auctions. In a PSA 9, there have been over 1,400 graded copies, but in a PSA 10, only 444. At number 4, we have a regular here on the top 10 list, the 1982 Topps Traded Cal Ripken Jr. in a PSA 10. This copy sold on November 25th for $6,587. There were 43 bids in the auction, and it sold for less than the current VCP average price of $7,086. In the PSA 10, the record high sale was $20,101 back in February of 2021 through a PWCC listing on eBay. There have been over 4,200 graded a PSA 9, but again, about 10%, 407, have been graded a PSA 10. At number 3, we have another 82 Topps Traded Cal Ripken Jr. in a PSA 10. This one sold on November 19th for $7,300. In this auction, there were 51 bids, and this one ended up selling above the current VCP average price of $7,086, still well below that record high sale back in 2021 of over $20,000. At number 2, we have the 1989 Bowman Tiffany Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card in a PSA 10, another card that we've seen in past top 10 lists. This one sold on November 27th for $7,900. There were 52 bids in that auction and sold for about the current VCP average price of $8,075. However, the record high sale for a PSA 10 was $23,800 back in February of 2021 through a PWCC listing on eBay. In a PSA 9, there have been 473 graded copies, but only 157 have been graded a PSA 10. And now the number one sale for the month of November from the 1980s, the 1980 Topps Willie Stargell in a PSA 10. This one sold on November 26th for $7,990. There were 24 bids in that auction and sold well above the current VCP average price of $6,593, and actually represents a new record high sale for a 1980 Topps Willie Stargell in a PSA 10. The previous high was actually, as of this recording here, there was a sale in December of this year through Mile High Auction for $5,196. Still not close to this sale here. In a PSA 9, there have been 218 graded copies, but only 12 have been graded a PSA 10. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at the top 10 PSA vintage baseball card sales on eBay for cards from the 1980s for November 2023. As always, would love to know in the comments what you think about the cards that made this month's top 10 list. With that, that's all I have for you. So until next time, thanks for watching.